The Sciforror Film Podcast. Right. Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. I am Andy Walker, and as usual, I am here with my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Dad.
Hello. How are you?
I did my voice that. No, I'm all right.
How are you?
Enjoying everything and the way that life is going. It sounds way too cheery for me. Anyway, how are you, Father?
Are you on something? I'm all right. Yeah. You know, same old, plodding through life with a demented ease.
Demented or amended?
Demented. Right, so this week we are doing a special podcast. This week we are looking at films on the Deformed Lunchbox YouTube channel.
Yes.
And we have a series of films that we are looking at. And, then we will have an interview with...
Okay, I found this on the web for a series of films that we are lucky to get, and then we will have an interview. Check it out.
You come from? Bugger off, you.
See, look, now we've got AI trying to join.
I'm not sure I understand.
AI is trying to join you.
I didn't turn you on. Switch off. How do you turn the bloody thing off? I've never used it. I don't know how you turn it off. Okay, anyway. Let's see if it does it again. So, yes, we are reviewing a number of short films that are on the Deformed Lunchbox YouTube channel.
Yes.
And then we will be having an interview with a member of the Deformed Lunchbox team. So, let's start as we mean to go on. All of these films are from 2023. So, should be good.
Yeah, it seems like they've been busy over the last few months.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, I'm not sure all of these were done by them completely, or if they were just been done. I know one of them at least is done by somebody else, and then they've just put it onto their channel in the same way as they did with their feed sheet. But the others have a connection to them, definitely. So we're going to start off with the first film, obviously, called Find Me. 2023. It's done in association with Stone Soup Productions. I'm whistling quite well when I speak. The director is Scott Wetherall. Writer was Denman Hatch. And the cast is Golden Madison, Mark Nielsen, Zoe Lee Tappan, and Anne Shepherd. Now, the synopsis for this film says, let's watch the innocent little girl play in the yard next door as doom, despair, and dread overtake our lives.
Yeah.
So, I will start with this. I got to tell you, I love this film. I thought it was brilliant. To me, it starts as what seems to be a fairly ordinary sort of ghost story, but it slowly turns into something much darker and weirder. And I just think it's an excellent idea. It's really well written, really well made, and I love it.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I sort of watched it and I was like, oh, this is a typical ghost story. And then it's not it's rare to watch a film. Well, rare for me to watch a ghost film and go, well, this has suddenly got a lot darker.
Yeah,
And it does. Sorry, and
does.
it but it does it in such a weird way as well. It is that whole. I'm not so much over here in the UK, I suppose, but I know there are a lot of places in the States that when something strange happens, they're like, we couldn't have been our next door neighbour because they're so nice and they're so polite. And
Yeah,
it's one of their moments that just because they're like that with you doesn't mean that's what they're like.
yeah,
And but what I liked about it as well is the premise they had behind it, which I know a lot of people suffer with during lockdown and during COVID and stuff like that, was the whole getting used to and the getting used to and the mentality of being at home all the time,
yeah,
being stuck indoors, not being able to go out, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
sort of it starts playing with your head, and I like the fact that they added that to this,
yeah. No, I
and it's
agree.
sort of the way they've done it. It's almost like whether or not she was seeing what was there or if she was a hallucination. And I
Yeah.
think it's just, I don't know, I love this film. I can't rate it enough.
No, I thought it was excellent. I mean, I think that the set design and the makeup that down
Oh, yeah.
in the basement bit are just fantastic.
I think,
They
I
work
think
so well.
the weather helped as well with it being snowy and
Yeah,
the climate atmosphere, if that makes sense. The sort of to have it out in the cold and out in the snow gives it that bit more of an atmosphere and that bit more of a sort of
yeah.
tension to it all. Like the times all you could hear is the crunching of the snow, and
I mean,
it's just so well done.
this is a lot more serious than a lot of their films have been. But the last few that we looked at have been a bit more serious.
Yes,
And this one is as well, but it's just so well done. It's just so well made and well put together. It's got all of the great design and great look of their other films, but with a slightly more serious sort of
yeah. I was going to say
storyline and idea.
it does seem like it's a bit more of a serious aspect to it. It's still got their take on filmmaking, but there's a lot more of a serious atmosphere to it.
Yeah,
And again, I'm
definitely.
saying I love everything they either seem to do themselves or have something to do with.
Yeah,
It seems to be sort of an amazing film.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So that's the first one. The second film is called Unboxing Gone Wrong.
Yeah,
Again for 2023. This is a found footage style film ish, created by, it doesn't say written by or created by Denman Hatch, Jared Poirier, Peter Hatch, and Sam Sandman. And
yep.
the cast is Tom Lute, Julian Batchlow, Jared Poirier, and Jessica. Where are we? Jessica Chin King.
Yes.
The synopsis for this says, "This is found footage of an unboxing video gone horribly wrong. It was sent to us anonymously. Unbox at your own risk." So, I mean, I've seen a lot of these unboxing videos on YouTube, and I don't really normally bother with them at all because I just find it boring.
Yeah.
But I really like this again. I think it's a great idea to do an
Yeah.
unboxing video that goes this way. It's
Yeah. I watched this and I sat there and I was talking to Amy about it because again I've watched a lot of unboxing stuff. Not a lot, but it's the stuff that's just to pass the time, mainly just to annoy myself. But it's I do sit there and I've watched a couple and I've watched people I watch quite a lot on YouTube do these little odd unboxing things. And I sit there and I'm like, I know the fact that it probably wouldn't get put out because none of them are done live or anything, but I would love to have their moments where it's just sort of, I wonder if it has happened to someone,
yeah,
whether or not someone's got something through the post, gone to unbox it and gone, oh my God, and it freaked them out a bit. But
yeah,
it's one of them things that it's one of the things that you sort of, it makes you think what's gone if it does happen and if there is a way to do it and all that. I like the twist with it.
yeah. It's got a great. The effects are really good. The effects and the camera work at the end
Yeah,
done really, really well, and it works well. The way it's done works really well. It works great as
yeah.
a film.
The makeup and visual effects, and I suppose the sort of, I don't know what, a bit like the prosthetic effects. I suppose it would be.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I
they're
don't
amazingly done.
know.
It seemed
Yeah,
like, I genuinely, I looked at it and I'm like, I know that's fake, but I looked at it and I'm like, that looked remarkably real,
yeah. No, it did.
and
Yeah,
it was a bit concerning at one point because I'm like, is that real?
yeah. I mean, it's. I really like it. I was really happily pleased by it. Again, it's not the sort of usual sort of
No,
comedic sort of thing that we would expect from their stuff, but it's again really well made, really well put
it's
together.
it's definitely something that's got, it's still got, like, again, it's got their aspect of filming, their sort of
Yeah,
their way of doing it, but it's got a bit more of a serious note to it, and
yeah.
it's definitely got their sort of bit of a stamp.
And
Also, sort
all
of their
all of these
expandment.
kind of have. Um,
Yeah, it's sort of, the shows that they've got this, they've got that sort of, they can do that comedy effect, but they can do the serious things, and they've got other ways that they can go down and be involved in to make things and or make amazing
yeah,
films.
absolutely. So on to our third one, which is called Save Me from the Devil, again 2023. Directors of this are Denman Hatch and James Mercier. The writer was Swapnil Sagari or Sagar. The cast is Justin Cargo, Tom Lute, and Gar Reed. And the synopsis for this one says, "How did Martha get pregnant? Whose baby is it? Watch to find out if you dare."
Yeah,
So, what do you think?
I liked this one 'cause it was a bit of a weird way of filming it, like the different aspects of the camera work, and it's almost like security footage and real life footage, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
but I like sort of the jump backs between the good and bad sides that were involved,
Yeah.
and the makeup as well on some of them. I thought was made, but the sort of, just all of it, it seemed so bizarre. But it was one of them films that I thought was, it was like one of them bizarre films. I'm like, I'm not too sure if I could watch this, but it had my attention, like it hooked me, and I'm like, but I want to know what's going on. I
Yeah.
want to know
Yeah.
more, and it's sort of that mix between the gore and interest side
It's,
of it,
yeah.
and
I mean, it's a very dark film and quite worrying in many ways.
yeah,
Um, but I really like it. What I think, I mean, I think the acting in it is brilliant.
mm,
And what got me was the fact that it was really difficult at times. Although one of the sort of people it goes to, or one of the things it
yeah,
goes to, is supposed to be good and one's supposed to be bad. It was difficult to work out which one of them was actually good or which one was bad
yeah.
because
I suppose it's one of them things of, it's everyone's take on it. It's like what someone thinks is bad, it's someone else thinks is good, and
there
that
didn't
whole
seem to be
sort of,
much difference between them in some ways.
no, yeah. He said there were times, yeah, it didn't seem like there was actually, apart from the light, there was no difference between them. And I
Yeah.
think it's just that, again, like I said, just shows the fact that what someone might perceive as good, someone else might perceive as evil.
I think all the effects in it are excellent. The makeup and especially in the sort of the set pieces at the end when they're
Oh yeah,
in the bath and that sort of thing.
yeah,
I mean, the makeup was done by Melissa Itwa, and it's brilliant. It's so
yeah.
well done.
It is, and like I say, it sort of shocked me a bit with the way that ended. But yeah, the makeup all the way throughout, I suppose, with the what you see, the two beings, and also what happens to the two other characters. They're sort of what happens to them,
Yeah.
and the way that they look after. I think it's such an amazing makeup designer.
It is. It's great. I love it. I really like this film. I think I wrote a thing down here. I said it's a really good short film, not necessarily nice, but good.
No, yeah, yeah. I sat there and I was sitting there watching this, and as I do with most of these, sort of every week. Amy, if she's not joining it, she'll sort of sit on the other side of the room, and sort of sit there, and she was watching this out the corner of her eye, and she just looked at me and she went, "What on earth are you watching?" And I said to her, she's just like, and she just sat there and she was like, "What?" Is she genuinely listened? She went, "So what happened? What happened? Like, this isn't their normal stuff. Is everything okay with them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is the stuff that they do. They're branching out into and helping other
Yeah,
people out with." And it's again, I love the fact that again, it's not it's completely different in a way to their other stuff, but it shows that they're going down as they can go any way they want and be involved in
yeah.
anything they want.
It's still so well made and well put together.
Yes.
I really like it. I really do. Right, so on to our fourth one. Our fourth one is called AI Artist. This is 2023 again. It's classified films. This was one that I was told was done by a friend of theirs, and they've put it out onto their channel. So the writers and directors are Danny Barker and Jesse Nelson. The cast is Danny Barker, Azriel Dalman, Jesse Nelson, Tracy Rowath, and Philip Jivanovic.
Yeah.
And I love the synopsis of this because I'm not quite sure what one part of it means. The synopsis says, after a shrimp-fingered incel discovers a passion for AI art, his compulsion to create monsters bleed far beyond his computer screen. I'm not sure what a shrimp-fingered incel is, to be honest, but
No. It's one of them things that I sort of read it and I'm like, part of me wants to Google it, but part of me is worried what's going to come up.
I mean, the thing is, I've become quite obsessed with this AI art thing, and as we were saying last week, I watched this film actually before I saw the ones we did last week. This was the first film I saw
Yeah.
AI art, and the last one we did reviewed last week was the second one. But as we said then, this is a very now subject to make a film about. And it deals it in this film deals with it in a very different way to the one we did last week, I think.
Okay, completely.
But it's still got a lot to say about the whole AI art debate and all that sort of thing. And it's got, I think this is interesting because it's got a bit of the kind of humour that Deformed Lunchbox normally have, but it's
Yeah.
also got a darker side and a darker kind of message to it.
Yes.
I really liked it, and I think it's brilliantly written and really well made. And it's just up until I watched this, I hadn't thought about the idea of going onto an AI art thing and trying to look at pictures of people made out of spaghetti, but now I might.
Yeah, I got it's one of the things that I sat there and I haven't looked at the whole AI picture thing. It intrigues me, but it's not something I've got around to doing yet. But after watching this film, it does. I do sit there and like want to sit there and go, wonder what does come up if you type it, just randomly type stuff in. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, I like this because of the fact that, like we said, we've talked about the whole AI art and how other artists and certain people feel about it, and the fact that obviously it shows it in this thing, in this film, about the fact that this one person wants to do something and create something, but there's other people around him that are saying an art. It doesn't make him an artist. It doesn't make
yeah,
it, and it's that whole does it don't it sort of argument with it. And I like the way they've done it in this. It does get very wrong. It is very dark, and the way that it sort of ends, and there's the other bits in it. But I like the fact that it shows that sort of as well, that sort of mental health thing again. The whole
yeah,
sort of, if you're constantly beaten down, if you're constantly told you're no good at something, start believing it. And it's something that I like everything about this. Like the graphic cinematography in it is amazing as well. I think it's just so well done. But the
yeah,
sound aspect as well, when like it's sort of, you can hear them talking and it fades out and it's just like muffled because he's in his own head. And
yeah,
I really like a lot of the aspects in this film.
yeah. It is done really well. It's well edited, well put together. I really like the way it's done. It works really well. I mean, all of these films work so well with the way they've done them that they're just they're just really good films. As are, you know, I would say all of the films on their channel are really good. You know, so but yeah, it's I really do like it. It's yeah, it's interesting, and I think it could spark lots of debate. But you know,
Yeah, it's
we
definitely
did
one
a
I
lot of
think
that
is.
last week.
Yeah, I definitely think it's one that. Yeah, if you were to put it on, okay, maybe not put it on to the had the whole conversation with someone about is it could end up going down the whole conversation like this having this, and even actually sort of AI does as well in with him is about the fact that, like you've got to pay for it, otherwise you're not realised.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is like, but that's not the aspect that you're meant to be putting across with it, and I like the different sides of it all.
yeah, yeah. I do like the way it's been put together and the way it works. It's just really good, really good. So we'll have to keep an eye out for the people that made that as well, for the other
Yes,
stuff. Okay, so now on to our fifth thing, which is something brand new, which isn't actually out on their channel yet. This is a thing that we were sent to look at, which is
they're still in the process of making it, I
yeah,
suppose, isn't it?
this is to launch a Kickstarter to make a full feature film.
Yes.
Um, it's called Serial Man.
Yep.
That's the idea of the title for the full film. I think it looks great. If this is a trailer type thing or a taster of what the film's about, I think it looks great, but I literally have no idea what it's about or what the hell is going on.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. I watched this and I've got to admit, I would say I had to watch this 3 times because I sat there and I watched it the first time. I was like, okay, I know I had the distraction. I had to sort of because I had to pause it halfway through and go and do some bits.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I missed something and forgot, so I then watched it again and then sat after the second time. I was like, no, I'm sure I'm missing something. And then watched it the third time. I was like, no, this is I've got to. I need to know what's going on.
But
I
this is
need
the
to know
thing.
more.
I think if they're doing it with the idea of making people want to see what the film would be like, it worked brilliantly
Yes, it
because you
does.
watch it and
Yes,
go, I want to know what's happening here, what this is all
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Um,
I genuinely did the same thing. I sat there and I was like, at the end of it, when they obviously they're talking about it, and I'm like, you can't just leave me hanging. I want to know more. And I sat there and I was like, I hope that they can raise the money to carry this on because if they can't, it is going to be such a shame.
well, um, as neither of us really have a clue what the hell's going on with this, what I thought was maybe we should ask somebody who knows a little bit more about it.
Yes.
So let's get into an interview situation. Yes, I have with me Peter Hatch from Deformed Lunchbox, and we are going to chat to you about. We've just done our reviews of some of your films, the newer films you've got on there. So if we can go through those in the order we reviewed them, and then we can get on to the latest development.
All right.
So the first one we did was Find Me.
Awesome.
We both really love that film. It's really, really good. It was interesting because we both thought that it kind of starts out a bit like a fairly ordinary kind of ghost story type thing, but then gets very dark and very odd. And I thought that the set design and makeup for the in the basement that were brilliant. I just
glad
really
you
loved
liked it. I'm really glad you liked it. It's funny with that one. I didn't direct that one. My good friend Scott Weatherall, he directed it.
Yeah.
And it's actually there's a funny little side story to that where it's actually based on a true story.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So I with my current partner and girlfriend, her name's Vanessa, same as the character. And there at her old apartment, there used to be this little girl that would play in the yard next door.
Right.
And I would never see this little girl, and Vanessa would always say to me, "Hey, like there's this little girl next door. I always see her. She's waving to me." And I would be like, "Where is she? Like she's never there." And their backyard kind of had like rusty toys and like an old swing set. And I'm like, "I think, Vanessa, that you're seeing a ghost and that it's a dead little girl." And I made this whole story around it, and I wrote it into a script. And my friend Scott reached out to me, and he wanted to direct a horror. And he said, "Hey, Peter, send me some horror scripts." I sent him 10 scripts, and that was the one he gravitated towards. So I got to give
Wow.
Scott a lot of the credit. He pulled a lot of that together. He brought someone named Chris Finnegan to do the art direction, and he like designed the whole basement. So we had a really good team on that one. I produced it, I wrote it, I did the post production. But the talent, there was just so much talent on that project.
It,
We had a big crew.
it works really well. I mean, it is the thing about it is there are certain short films we've seen, some of yours even, that are kind of like they leave us thinking, well, hang on a minute, we want to know what happened before and after that. This looks like it should be somewhere in the middle of a film. But what I like is when you can get a short film that tells its own story and is complete enough for you to be satisfied at the end of it that you've seen a good film.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's with Find Me, it does feel like more of a complete short film, or I think a lot of the other films on the channel, especially ones that I direct, are more like web shorts, like they're little tasters, little teasers, little
Yeah.
gags. And honestly, to be quite honest, it really comes down to the budget on that a lot. We had a bigger budget on this one. We had a bigger team, so we decided to do something bigger. Where sometimes the other ones we are a little more limited on our budget and scope.
But one of the interesting things we were saying is the fact that you seem to have kind of I don't know if this was a deliberate thing, not change direction, but kind of you seem to these recent films seem to be a lot more serious than the earlier films.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do bigger and better, I think. And I'm getting older, so I just kind of come to a point where I think I'd rather do a meatier film and a bigger project. And I guess the other projects we'll talk about are both bigger as well
Yeah.
than the smaller ones. I mean, we've built this Deformed Lunchbox channel. We've got about, I think, 50 or so shorts. So it's a lot of work to kind of do these 1 minute things. And I think as we get older and more mature as filmmakers, we want to tell deeper stories, more characters,
Yeah. Yeah.
use more of our expertise, and less of like YouTube or online web shorts or gag shorts,
But I
as
mean, we did both say that we felt that, I mean, all of these films, they still have a kind of there's a deformed lunchbox style. I think you have a style of the films you make, and these films still have that style, but they've gone more towards a kind of slightly darker, more serious side than the short films you've been doing. Um, which is,
yeah.
it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's just there are a couple. There's been a couple of times when I've been watching things and I've been waiting for a gag that isn't there.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I always think about it as like a spectrum, because a lot of the stuff I like to do is it's horror, but it's dipping into that kind of, maybe it's comedy or it's
Yeah,
commentary or it's farcical. And I always think of it as the spectrum where it's like one side's comedy horror and one side's horror comedy, and it's kind of doing this spectrum thing. And I think what I've come to terms with is that I find the films that are more serious with their themes and
yeah,
more serious and scary, but with little bits of maybe comedy or Easter eggs or nods, are more satisfying than the other side. Because I mean, I think I'm a creepier person than a funny person. So, and some of the comedy we've done before, it's tough. Like we don't usually do things like zombies and witches and the tropey kind of typical horror. We stick
yeah,
to more psychological. And I think there was one we did with the sneeze one, and as well as the lawn gnome one, the
yeah,
garden gnome, where they were more on the comedy side.
yeah.
And something about the dark nature of it, it doesn't come through as well. And almost can be seen as insensitive if we're making light of depression or suicide or things
Yeah.
like that.
No, I know what
So
you mean.
yeah, and so I think it's better to I guess it's really hit me recently, especially, is that movies need to have themes, and the most important thing we can do in especially a horror film is have a real theme. And our
Yeah,
most successful films all have themes. If you look at Make Me a Sandwich and 5 Minute Dating and Find
yeah,
Me, they all have a thematic core, where some of our sillier ones, I mean, even ones like let's talk about Ice Trays, which was kind of sillier. It actually ended up having a theme, or Toast ended up having a theme about addiction or
yeah, yeah,
self-harm or family abuse. And so sometimes those themes creep in there and you realize, wow, we've hit something good. So I think going forward, and like where the films we'll talk about today, theme is so important to me, and
yeah,
that's something you're going to see probably a little bit of a shift in the films we make going forward.
yeah, yeah. Well, the second one we did was one of these ones where I kind of was expecting a bit of a gag to be in it, which
Mhm.
was Unboxing Gone Wrong.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to talk about AI artist. Okay.
No, not yet. No, not yet. We're getting there.
Okay. Unboxing gone wrong. That's a silly one. I think that's almost more of a it's almost like we wanted people to think it was real.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if
The,
there's much of a theme there.
well, the interesting thing about it is, I mean, the end of it, it gets really quite serious and dark, but I was expecting the end of it to be a joke. I was expecting there to be a bit of a gag at the end, and it wasn't, and that really kind of threw me for a moment.
Yeah. I heard this thing a long time ago. Do you know the show The Office?
Yeah,
There's a British version. They made an American version,
yeah,
and I heard this commentary on it where the way that show worked was that it kind of got you with this lighthearted comedy, but when it gets you with the more emotional stuff, it's like a gut punch because you've let your guard down with the comedy.
yeah,
So I think what I was trying to go for with Unboxing Gone Wrong was not only like a riff on the YouTube unboxing video,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's almost like this kind of cheery atmosphere that we're used to in those YouTube videos and the unboxing videos. So your guard is down, that
yeah,
when it gets extraordinarily dark and he completely cracks under the pressure or whatever it is of his son being taken, and he ends up killing his friend and his wife. It's just like a gut punch of how
yeah,
extraordinarily dark it is.
yeah. No, I get that. I really do.
That was a bit of an experimental one. I mean, it was a little bit lower budget, so it was easy to justify the experiment. But
But again,
I'm glad you liked it.
we really like all of these. I mean, you know, there haven't been any of your films that I haven't liked.
Oh yeah, well,
There's
you
been
didn't like. I don't think you liked the sneeze one very much. I
uh,
remember you.
it wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just a little bit around the suicide thing that was
Yeah,
just a bit. That was all. I mean,
yeah.
everything else was fantastic about it. The next one I absolutely love, and it's weird that I love it really, which is Save Me from the Devil.
Okay, I'm glad you watched that one.
I thought it was brilliant. It's so well done, so well put together. The editing and the makeup. Melissa Itwar, who did
Melissa Itwar, yeah.
the makeup and the editing and all that kind of thing. I just it 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 was brilliant. It was fantastic. I really, really
I'm
loved
so
it.
happy you say that, because I think we've gotten this kind of a strange response from it. Some people have really liked it, and some people have been confused by it. But the interesting thing with that one was that was actually a writer and producer from India, named Swapnil
Yeah,
Cigar, and he just messaged me one day online. He says, I really have this dream of writing a film, and we talked and we had a back and forth, and we basically collaborated on it. So it's his original story, which I feel has a little, like, I feel like it has a little bit of that Bollywood, maybe fantastic elements, maybe
yeah.
like I wouldn't normally, my sensibility wouldn't be to put like an angel and a devil yelling at someone in a movie, and so I like the challenge of adapting somebody else's story.
The
um
interesting thing for me was the fact that it was difficult to work out which one. Well, it was difficult to work out if there was a good and evil because they both seem to be really attacking.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
kind of like is that kind of real sort of strangeness of the angel shouting just as loudly as the demon, and it was like, wow, it's really, you know,
dreadful. I think it's just a dreadful movie because there's no real hope. And I think the thing that gets me with that one was that you kind of think it's a psychological thing throughout the movie, that it's all in her head, and you see her
mm,
husband come up with the scissors. And then in the end, to me, it kind of implies that no, it actually isn't psychological.
yeah,
It's like a Rosemary's Baby situation
yeah,
where she just was in a hopeless, she was used by powers beyond her control. And yeah, that one has I love the visuals of that one.
oh yeah. And that
It, it,
the set like the pieces at the end, the where she's in the bath and that sort of thing, that whole setup and that whole look is brilliantly done. It works so well.
Glad you like it. I'll give you one little tidbit, behind the scenes tidbit about that. We are really trying to avoid YouTube age restrictions.
Yeah,
So all the blood in that movie is actually chocolate sauce.
right.
Uh, we wanted to avoid the color red, and I thought there might be a creative way around that. Was let's make all the blood black, almost like it's demonic. And we knew that chocolate sauce would come on camera black, especially the way we colored it after. So
Yeah,
all that stuff in the sink with her is a mix of raw ground beef, chocolate sauce, and we bought a squid and cut up a squid. So it kind of created this nasty placenta thing, and it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
quite nasty, and it didn't get age restricted. So
It
we did
looks
it.
brilliant. I know this may sound odd given what the sort of film it is, but I really enjoyed watching it.
I'm so glad. That means a lot to me that you said that. I'm going to let Swapnil know in India, and he's looking to come to Canada and try to take a course on screenwriting. So that's going to mean a lot to him to hear that you guys really
Ah,
liked it.
yeah, it was
Uh,
really good, really well done.
True
Okay,
horror. It's really true horror, really, not very
yes,
funny at all. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, that is real. I mean, that is kind of it's dark and scary and everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one we watched was AI Artist,
Awesome.
um, which I loved. I must admit, I've become a little bit obsessed with AI art recently.
Nice.
And this I watched this one, and then I was saying last week we reviewed a short film which was also about AI art, but I
Okay.
actually saw AI Artist first and then watched the one we did last week, which was The Cage.
Hmm.
They deal with the same subject, with the subjects in very different ways. But I was saying it's a very now subject.
Yeah.
There's this whole debate about AI art and how it could, ruin real artists, and is somebody who creates AI art a real artist or not, and all this sort of
Yeah.
thing going on. But
A
I
little
really
scary.
like this. I do really like this film. It's well written, well made, and it's great. I really like it.
I'm glad you like it. With AI artists, actually, I didn't have anything to do with making that movie. It was actually a friend of mine, Jesse Nelson and Danny Barker, just kind of fellow filmmakers I know through the grapevine. They do horror films, and they approached me and they said, "Hey, we have a film that we think is right in line with your type of films." Which, in a lot of ways, is is food, is horror, is kind of
Yeah.
a alternative horror. And I watch it and I was just blown away, and I go, this is an awesome film. I'd be honored to put it on our channel. And they're really talented. Jesse actually had another short film he made. He was turning into a feature called Crumb, which is
Okay.
really a really cool one too. I don't know if it's public right now, but maybe I can send that to you.
Oh, that'd
It's
be
really great.
fantastic.
It's really
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
But they're super talented. So it was funny,
yeah.
like so in line with the kind of films that we make, and I was like, this is perfect, and lots
Well,
of great
I was
feedback.
I was saying to Scott when he did the review, I said, up until now, I haven't thought about looking at sort of pictures of people made out of spaghetti, but now I think I'm going to have to.
I know it's AI arts. It's a weird. I don't even. I'm kind of one of those people. I'm just like, I'm going to sit on the sidelines of this one. I don't really have a hand in
Oh,
the debate on it.
you can do stuff. I mean, you can amazing things. I actually put together. I put together live stills using AI art of let me think, was it, Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and who's the other one? There was another one as well, as heavy metal musicians.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Are you do you use Midjourney? Is that what you used?
No, I use one of these. It's an online one called Deep AI.
Okay.
But it's just basically you just tell it, and I started off. I just thought, what would be the idea of Boris Karloff as a heavy metal bass guitarist live on stage?
I want to
It
see these
looked
pictures, Andy.
fantastic.
That sounds hilarious.
It looked brilliant. It's just...
I mean, I have to admit, with the AI stuff, I don't know if you use ChatGPT, where you can ask questions. It's helped me write scripts even.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to say I don't just plug it in and say write the script for me, but for example, if I needed to know what like a royalty-free storybook was for children, and it said, "Here's a list: Little Red Riding Hood, Peter Rabbit." And I said, "Okay, well, can you give me the entire story of Peter Rabbit?" And it, bam, types out the whole thing instantly. And
Yeah.
there's lots of little ways that it can be a tool for an artist. So I
Yeah.
kind of am trying to look at it as a tool, but not a crutch.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, my view on it in a way is that going right the way back even to people like Da Vinci and Michelangelo, they had people working with them who would do some of the work for them on larger pieces. And nowadays, people do the same thing. People like Damien Hirst and those sort of people have people that work. They come up with a creative idea, and then other people actually put the things together, which they then put together as a whole installation or whatever. Is there really any difference between using somebody else to create your vision or using a computer AI to create your vision?
I mean, you're totally right. It's at the end of the day, it's especially for people who don't have a lot of financing to hire a big team. It's a really helpful tool. I think the main fear that I would have or other people have is that it's taking away a job where a big writer's room of people
Oh
they
yeah.
might have had 15 people, now they only need 4.
Well,
So that's
I
where it's
mean,
like, are jobs in trouble here?
yeah, no, I do get that. I get that completely. I mean, I have actually had a look, and we are going to do an episode of the show in which I've put together 4 short films, which have all been created in some way by AI.
Yeah.
One of them is just a short story that's been animated by AI. The story and the animation have been put together by AI. There's one which is a bit more AI content, and there's a short film which the script and the direction was done by AI.
Wow. I mean, I think AI is going to take over. That's my opinion. So it's inevitable.
The question is how good is it? That's the problem. Well, it's a matter of whether or not the AIs and it's any kind of computer generated thing is only as good as the people that are putting the information into it.
Yeah, like curated AI,
Yeah,
almost like humans need to curate it. And I always say that AI is probably going to be really good at taking existing ideas and manufacturing ideas with existing stuff.
yeah,
But I don't know if an AI is going to be capable of completely coming up with something completely brand new, or something like a Blair Witch Project or Pulp Fiction that completely changes the structure of a movie. Is
yeah,
AI going to think to do that? And that's where I think maybe there's a silver lining of, like, human work will need to be even extra creative to stand out from things that are manufactured by AI. Mean,
yeah.
who
No, I
knows,
agree.
right?
I agree. Right, that brings us on to Serial Man,
All right.
which you sent us the is it a trailer? Is it?
Well, we call it a short film,
Right,
but it's a feature length film.
right.
So in a way, it is a little bit of a trailer. It's a bit like a short film that teases a much larger project.
Yeah,
And with Serial Man, we're trying to make this into a feature film. So we have a Kickstarter. It's in the midst of launching. It's probably going to be launched within the next week. So by the time this podcast is out, for your listeners, they can go check out Serial Man on Kickstarter. And we're trying to raise just a little, it's still a low budget feature film, but we've got this really good full length, hour and a half movie that's got a lot of depth and a lot of characters and it's scary, but it's also tragic, and I'm really excited about it. And so you're actually the first person to watch it other than like people who worked on it. So I'm really excited to know what you and Scott thought of it.
Thank you very much. No, we both thought it looked really great. I must say, my notes for it says it looks great, but I literally have no idea what it's about or what the hell is going on.
Yep.
But that's a good thing.
I think it is, in a lot of ways, you're right. It is a teaser trailer. So it's a little bit of like, it's not very linear and you're not really sure what it is, but it's at least an introduction to the Serial Man himself and the fact that he has a captive in his basement. And I think the full length movie will show you who he is, where he came from, why he has this affliction with cereal, where he gets his cereal, where he gets his milk. So it's a lot there, but it's a very different style than we're used to. We shot it on analog video, so we shot it in the feature film version. We'll do a mix of 8mm film and analog video, so it's not shot in HD or 4K. So it's very different style. We wanted it to have a little bit of like almost feeling like it's a real home video. And be really creepy and in a way that's maybe less about dialogue and characters. There will be dialogue, there will be characters, but Serial Man, for example, he's mute, he doesn't speak, and he is the main character. So there'll be a lot of interesting ways the movie's made, where for a lot of scenes where you're seeing Serial Man, do his thing, steal some milk or capture somebody, we're going to be hearing interview dialogue of the family members of the people he's kidnapped. So it's very Terrence Malick is a huge influence. I've watched a lot of Terrence Malick films recently, and I want to really do a horror film that's somewhat experimental, but just very tonal and not so much linear dialogue driven. Very different, and something like I don't know if you've watched the film Skinamarink, that horror film that became really popular. It's just there's not really dialogue in it. It's very tonal. It's just visuals and evoking emotions, and I'm trying to find a ground between that emotion evoking type of new wave cinema with like an older style of story and characters and captives and escape and all the kind of trying to bridge that and do something really scary.
Well, it sounds incredibly interesting, and it looks great, and there is something about it that just makes you want to know what's going on. What is this all about? And the sound. I mean, when you see the Serial Man, a lot of the sound there is like sort of sounds like people crying and stuff like that, and it's kind of like, what is that all about? Is that going on in his head? Is that where is that coming from? But it's brilliantly done. It works so well just as it is. But I want to know more. I want to know everything about it if I can.
Well, we have our Kickstarter coming soon. I'll let you know the date, and if people are listening, they can check it out. But we have a lot of rewards. Like even if someone gives us $5, they get their name in the credits, and we have tiers. So we're just really hoping that we can get that off the ground. And I think it'd be such an awesome movie, and it's all in chapters. So our plan was to build this feature film, but if we ever end up releasing it online, we'd release it in the individual chapters as like 10-minute short films, like a series of them. But it's unlike any horror film you've ever seen. I've had really good feedback on the script.
Cool.
So I'm really excited.
Sounds really, really good. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've been saying ever since we first started seeing your films that we'd love to see what you could do if you were given the chance to do a feature film. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're actually going to do with it.
This is Serial Man. This is our first foray into a longer format and taking our Deformed Lunchbox kind of alternative horror style into a long format film.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds great. So what other projects have you got on at the moment? Anything at all? Or
I do have
Serial Man?
I mean, I put a lot of work into Serial Man, so that's kind of my main effort right now. And when we launch it in about a week or so, it'll probably live on the channel for a while as our #1 video. So it's the other factor is in the summertime is when film industry starts to pick up. So usually I try to do a lot over the winter time, and the summertime I gotta go to work, go to
Yeah.
set and work. But there are a few other things projects we're working on. I don't know if you want me to hint them or you want to be completely surprised. One's called Muffin Man, which is a
Okay.
little sillier, but it's also very dark. And we have another trailer we're working on. I don't know if you ever saw that we made some fan trailers on our channel, and we kind of have like a Jason Voorhees versus Batman, and we have X-Files, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So we kind of crossed over horror with other movies in these trailers, and we've been working on one for almost a year now.
Okay.
And I don't want to tell you what it is because it's surprising, but I will tell you that we used AI voice sampling so that the celebrity in the movie, I'll just tell you, it's Daniel Craig. So you may
Okay.
be able to figure out which big series we're basing this off.
Yeah.
But I took samples of his voice and we put it on this AI voice simulator, and we've created perfect dialogue from Daniel Craig. Not from Daniel Craig, but it's AI driven.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly like him. And so he's got all this new dialogue for this new trailer, and we're really hoping people will watch it and think it's a real movie. So
Oh, that's cool.
that'll be the next thing after Serial Man.
No, that
and then-
sounds good. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I always look forward to your stuff coming out because it's always good, whatever it is. So I will look forward to new things with great interest. And I
Thanks,
wish you all
Andy.
the best with Serial Man. I really hope it goes well and that you get it all off the ground and get it going.
Thanks, Andy. I'd be so excited for you guys to watch it and review it on your channel, and even for just to talk to you about it and know what you think, because it's I'm just really excited about it. So
Yeah, no, I can understand that. It sounds really good. It looks good, and as I say, I can't wait to find out more about what it's all about, what's going on. Sounds great. Just on a personal note, this is the first time I've been able to I've seen you and talked to you, to be able to say thank you for putting The Hand That Feeds You on your channel.
no problem at all. I mean, I love that film. Did you tell John to message me, or did that just happen randomly?
No, I mean, I'd mentioned the fact that we were reviewing a lot of your films, and he was saying about releasing or putting the film online, but he wanted to find somewhere that maybe you get more of a widespread for the film to be released. I didn't actually say to contact you, but I'm glad.
I'm really happy he did it. Our people who watch our videos and our subscribers, they loved it. And that's another film that's just right in line with alternative horror. And
Yeah.
I think that film also has a really good theme, and it's longer and meatier. And I think that film actually is one of the things that inspired me to do meatier films, thicker, bigger, longer, meatier films. So I really love it. So I thank you, Andy, for even thinking of us to post it.
Thank you for putting it on. It was really nice it's really nice to be brought into the family, as it were, and just sort of
you're in the lunchbox now. That's what I always say. You're part of the lunchbox here. So yeah, I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for the interview. I wish you best of luck with everything you do, as always, and hope everything goes well with you. To everybody out there, as we always say, have a look at the Deformed Lunchbox YouTube channel. Keep following what they do, and keep an eye on it for the future content. It's always worth a watch.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. And if anyone's listening, please check out Serial Man and help us out. Get your name in the credits and help us make Serial Man a reality.
Absolutely, definitely. And we will put links up to everything, as we always do. And thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.